Thanks for checking in once again, everybody. Good Wednesday evening. The murmurs out there are we got this big storm coming, and it's going to be a 72-hour event, and everybody's going to get feet of snow. Well, let's hold up a second there, and let's actually look at what's going on here, because what I'm confident in at this point is that it's going to snow on Sunday into Monday, and several inches of snow are possible, if not looking likely. And several inches, I mean, okay, anywhere from, say, 4 to 8 inches. Okay, that's something that you could try to make a forecast on. Now, this storm, whether it's going to be, a nice moderate snowfall event or one of those significant storms that everybody remembers, is going to depend on the most complicated feature, which is where does this low cut off? Does it cut off? And what the position of the cutoff is. And just to give you guys a little background, models have a very hard time with cutoff lows. And it's just a disappointment waiting to happen if you're sitting there, saying, hey, I can't wait for this big storm on Sunday, Monday, Tuesday. Because right now you have to just be excited about the pattern. You got to be excited to follow the models and see how they make this evolve. And maybe by the weekend, so maybe by Friday, Saturday morning, I can even come to you guys and say, you know what, here's what I think is going to happen with the whole storm. But for now, I want to show you the setup. So this is a GFS model, okay? This little, this is basically this little, I'm using a model from 3 days ago. What the hell am I doing here? Hold on a second, guys. So, okay, let me just bring this up here. So here's a little storm system that's going to come through tomorrow, some light snow, maybe Maine gets us a couple inches. And then here comes our disturbance up here, okay? This is going to be the overrunning event, which is part one of this series of potential storms. And you can see what the model is trying to do is by Sunday, it's trying to bring snow into the area, okay? So right now, this is Sunday morning. And basically, it stalls the snow out, so by the time we get to Sunday night, it's still there. See, there's a low pressure center forming off the shore. By the time we get to Monday morning, it's still there. Monday night, it's now redeveloping offshore. Finally, we get to Tuesday night, and it's pulling away. Okay, so as stands, this is actually part one of the storm right here. Part two, you can see it tries to develop at the end, but it's going out to sea. But even with that being said, look at the snowfall printouts just for part one. You can see it again, it's showing it, a foot plus of snow just from that overrunning precipitation. But again, I think you have to understand what's going on in the upper atmosphere. So let's go back here to 18,000 feet, and you can see disturbances that are going to cause this. So let me back up a little bit here. So focus right here, okay? It's a nice active Pacific jet coming in. You have a nice northern jet up here in Canada. And notice these disturbances coming in. So these are all going to ride in, okay? And one thing to look at if I zoom in here is, notice this nice ridge popping up in the west. See this ridge axis kind of over Montana? That's a good position for a ridge if you want to see some development just off the coast. So that's a positive that I like. Okay, so it brings us disturbances down and then starts to consolidate everything and then try to form some sort of a cutoff low. Now that's part two, so that's looking at Tuesday. Does this thing really bomb out? But before we go there, let's go back here, back to the upper region, simplify this map a little bit so you guys understand what I'm looking at, and point out the things that I actually like. So this is ahead of the storm. Notice we have a few things I pointed out this morning. You have negative NAO. You have this nice little vortex here over eastern Canada. That's actually holding in a lot of cold air. So what happens is when you get this disturbance in here to dive down, there's a big Arctic high to the north. Okay, so as I zoom in again here, you can see this disturbance coming down now. Okay, this is going to produce all the precipitation on the front end, Sunday into Monday. And then we have something called confluence up here. Okay, so if you look right here, you can see the lines are coming together. And at the surface, that tends to cause high pressure just to the west. So if I go to the pressure pattern at the surface, you could see that Arctic high up here in Canada. Okay, and that's drilling down a bunch of cold air as our storm tries to develop. So if we go out into the ocean here for a second, you can see that high pressure system is trying to cradle in this low pressure system. So it's really going to come down to all timing and basically, excuse me, on how amplified the pattern comes. So how amplified is this ridge in the west, okay, and how much is this wavelength shortened so the overrunning event turns into a nice big cutoff low. Right now, it's impossible to forecast if that's going to happen. Some of the ensemble members of the European show it. Some of the ensemble members of the GFS show it. So potentially there is that blockbuster event on the table. But in the worst case scenario, we'll get a few inches of snow. And I really want to see what the models do when this energy gets into the country on Friday night. You can see it coming in Friday night up here, Saturday morning. And then we'll have better sampling to see, okay, is this thing really going to dig deep and cut off? Last thing I'll leave you with is remember, because we have this high to the north, I'm expecting that this will not go too far north. So we have a situation where there's a sharp cutoff in precipitation to the north. I'm favoring more of a southern correction than a northern correction at this point. So we'll keep an eye on it. We'll see what happens. The GFS is bullish. The Canadian has about 2 feet of snow out up in northwestern Jersey into New England. So something to watch, and I'll have more tomorrow morning.